evening, everyone, and welcome to our next instalment of the Village Law Initial Consultation. My name's Darren Lutton. I'm one of the admins at SEQFC. And just recently we did a post regarding Redlands United appointing a new coach. And I didn't know, I sort of saw it and thought, gee, he looks a little bit young, and I don't remember seeing him coaching anywhere, but he got a fantastic reaction on both on our page and wherever it's been shared. There's just been a heap of good wishes for this young man. Let's introduce him. Jordan Manning, welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going very well, thank you. We're back on the field again. How good is that?
Absolutely buzzing. I'm getting sick of being indoors. My very pasty no tan at all at the moment, so can't wait to get back out there.
How's the social distancing going with players on the field?
Yeah, I think that's going to be one of the fun challenges that we have going back out there, but I'd much rather be out there with social distancing than sitting inside, so just really keen to be back.
Exactly. And is there a few big bellies out there?
I'm not sure yet, so we return tomorrow night, so fingers crossed we don't have that issue.
Right, okay. So you're the new Redlands United coach. Tell us about, I'll do a little bit first. That I spoke to Graham Ross on the weekend, and he, of course, was the coach there. And with everything that's gone on at the moment, his business interests have meant that he's had to step away, and that's the only reason that he's had to leave Redlands United. So, from that opportunity, steps up Jordan Manning. Tell us about how you got the gig.
So I sort of worked with Graham Harvey, who's the technical director at the club before. So he was a sub-teacher of mine at Brisbane Grammar when I was a student there. So I met him there, went out to Western Pride, and then I did my first year post-knee reconstruction playing there in the under-18s. And at the end of the year, I did my C licence, and Graham sort of saw me there and offered me the under-18s role at the end of that C licence course. And yeah, for me, I coached with him for around 18 months before he disappeared. And then when he went to Hong Kong, I sort of went to the Raw. And then obviously we stayed in touch. And then with everything going on, he touched base with me and asked if I'd be interested in coming across. And it was something that sort of jumped at pretty quickly. So it's a pretty exciting opportunity, but something I'm really looking forward to getting into and getting started with.
So he headhunted you?
Oh, I wouldn't go that far. I think Graham's someone that's just always around, and I've always talked to and sort of asked questions of. He's been a really good mentor of mine. So obviously to keep in touch with him, he sort of just asked me one day and sort of figured out all the details, and away we went.
Right. I actually got in touch with Graham about your appointment, and he just said that he was so impressed with you on a coaching course that you did. He did your C licence, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he said that there's a lot of young coaches that come up to him and say that I want to be a professional coach, but the thing that struck him about you was that your actions followed your words. So I think the qualities of being organised and doing all the right things that a professional coach. So you've obviously really impressed him on that course.
Yeah, well, obviously it's something that sort of developed over time, and probably get a lot of the organisation and that sort of stuff from my parents. Like, they've been pretty big influences on me, and making sure that whatever I do, I'm prepared and ready to go. And then obviously Graham's been a great help in helping guide my sort of coaching process and that side of things. But yeah, I think a combination of sort of having good people around you helped set me up so far, and hopefully I can continue to impress and improve as we go.
Sure. Now you're 22.
Yeah.
Why aren't you still, Jordan?
I've had 2 knee reconstructions. So at the moment I'm 8 months post-op. So it's sort of played with me for a fair while. So unfortunately I can't run and keep up like I used to at the moment.
Okay. But you've really caught the coaching bug in the time that you've had off.
Yeah, like I started coaching after my first knee reconstruction at the school. I went to Brisbane Grammar, so Greg Delosa got me involved there with the Year 6s, and I quite enjoyed that. And then one thing led to another, and I sort of got more involved in coaching as we went, and did player coach role at Pride, and now obviously focusing on my coaching with knees that don't really stay together. So yeah, that's me at the moment.
So this is a self-preservation thing, a way to keep yourself in the game.
Yeah, I just love the game. Like, love being around it. As a kid, I was always at the club, just running around, kicking a ball. Just love being there and watching everything. And sort of growing up, I always thought about, when I'm a coach, I'd like to do this, like to do that. I didn't really think much of it at the time. I was just running around kicking a ball, and now obviously here I am and trying to put those junior thoughts into processes and into place now.
In the press release regarding your announcement, there was a comment about thanking Brisbane Roar for their participation. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, so I'm still involved with the Roar Academy. I'm the high performance manager there, and Warren's been really, really good, and so is Chris Grossman, the youth team coach, because obviously we'll have a clash in a few weeks' time, and then I was assisting Fife with the 18s as well. So the three of them have been really, really supportive of this opportunity for me, and they haven't held me back at all. They've been really, really good about it. So obviously continuing my role in terms of the high performance side of there, so the strength and conditioning and the physical prep side, and then doing more coaching outside with Redlands. So it's a great way to sort of keep both sides of my development going, and pretty lucky to have such support from those around me.
Tell us a bit about your role with the Roar. What is it that you actually do?
So sort of just in charge of the physical preparation. So that's the strength and conditioning, the load monitoring, making sure that we GPS track the youth team boys, and then monitoring the growth of the young boys and making sure that physically, like our end goal is when they reach that youth team level that they're ready to play men's football, A-League football. So looking after their speed, agility, endurance, strength, power, all those sort of things, and just making sure that they're in a good spot and physically as prepared as possible to reach the top level.
Okay. I got in touch with Warren Moon about you as well.
Yeah.
I thought I'd do a bit of research. There's not much happening at the moment.
Yeah.
And here's his quote for you. He said, "You're a very smart and educated young man who is becoming a modern-day coach skilled in football coaching and modern science." Now, let's talk a little bit about the modern science aspect of what you do, Jordan.
Yeah. So obviously when I finished school, I went into a Bachelor's of Exercise Sports Science. So I did that at ACU. So got my bachelor's degree done in 3 years, and at the moment I'm doing a Master's of Sports Coaching at UQ. So for me, obviously trying to make sure I'm as knowledgeable as possible and trying to just learn as much as I can, really. Like, I think uni was something that I always looked at and just thought of it as the backup plan. And for me, it's provided a really good base in terms of making sure what I do on the park, whether it be coaching or sports science, it has a reason behind that. And that sort of education's been a really, really good thing for me, and something I probably didn't expect to happen, but has been something that I've just really, really enjoyed, and I just love studying at the moment. Like, every time I go to do a uni course, I'm learning more things and I'm challenging myself, and it's something that obviously as a kid growing up, you just think about the football side and plan A, but plan B has really been something that I've really enjoyed and trying to make the most out of.
Obviously, there aren't too many clubs outside the Football Queensland competitions that engage in sports science.
Mm.
What's a few little things that people out there in clubland can do to embrace the modern sports science techniques?
I think probably the big one for growing kids is just making sure that they're stretching. Like, we have a lot, especially at the moment with COVID, a lot of the kids have had a lot of downtime. So making sure that with that energy that they've saved from training, a lot of it's gone into their growth, and we'll see a lot of kids come back a lot taller than they were. So simply just in the warm down, making sure they stretch and they're flexible and that their muscles are keeping up with their bones. That's something that we'll probably see sort of peaks when we return. And then just simple things like making sure that they can control their own body weight. Like, there's all the sort of fancy stuff with the gyms and that, but if kids can't sort of control their weight and jump and land properly, then they put themselves at risk of injury. So just stretching, trying to make sure that they're strong in themselves. And then obviously with kids at the moment, one of the big challenges we have is the school football side of things. And obviously I work in a few schools, so it's an interesting topic, but just trying to make sure that the two hands sort of work together and don't compete, because at the end of the day, it's about the kids' development, not who wins between the school and the club. So just trying to make sure they're not doing too much, but also that they're not doing nothing at all.
Are we talking about dynamic stretching there or static?
Dynamic during your warm-up, so just making sure that you're always on the move and prepared, and then your static stretching as part of your cool down. So they're the sort of two ways to go about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Thanks for that.
Yeah, anytime.
All right. Now let's talk about Redlands United.
Yeah.
You're coming into a team there as a 22-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to command their respect? What plans do you have?
I think for me, respect's more earned then it's commanded. So it's just about sort of showing my knowledge and showing what I'd like the team to be about, and then helping sort of work together with them to develop that sort of player-centered environment. We want them to have that buy-in and be running their environment as well. So if I go in there and try and tell everyone who's boss and how things should be done, I don't think we sort of get that buy-in. So if they help develop that sort of culture of we're all in this together and it's all as one, and obviously my role in that team is to help guide them tactically and then obviously physically to make sure they're prepared. But for me, it's about making sure that they feel included and they're a part of the process. If I just go in there and tell them what to do, it's probably not going to end so well. It's that collaboration, and I'll earn that respect as we go. And as they begin to see things that I implement work in the game or work in training, and they see their own improvement, that'll probably help the respect and the relationship grow even further.
Going on from that, does this mean that you don't have a set playing philosophy? You're going to build it organically with the team?
No, I've got my philosophy and what I like to do, but I think it's also important that we look at what we have in the environment and what we have in the team. I don't want to force something if it's not going to work. So for me, I have my ways that I like to play, and I see football in a certain way. But if that doesn't work, I might change or alter a few little things to make sure that the team can still implement it, but successfully. I don't want to force things and end up with angry players or poor results.
Give us a sneak peek. What sort of things do you like to see in your teams?
Goals. I like to see play going forward and lots of goals, and conceding not as many. So for me, if we're scoring more goals than our opponent, we'll be all right, but lots of positive play. So just trying to face forward and play forward.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Have a favourite formation?
I'll keep that one secret for now. We'll see how we go.
Oh, fair enough. Now, have you met the players yet?
Yeah, so I've met we've got 11 that are hanging around after the sort of the COVID change. So I've met all them, and they're all really, really good guys, and they're on board and looking forward to a lot of hard work ahead. And then we're recruiting at the moment and trying to expand our sort of squad to add to that depth, because I think the number of games and the space we may have, it's going to be important that we've got good depth in our squad.
Sure. Now, is that something that you're going to do, or are you going to leave the recruitment side to Graham and Nick Dibbs?
No, at the moment I'm sort of leading it, but then obviously Dibsy and Graham have some really good experience and good contacts. So if I feel that we need a player in a certain position, I'll talk to Dibsy, I'll talk to Graham and ask their opinion. And then also if they've got the good contact, it's their area to sort of run and take ownership of. Like, I think there's no point me calling someone that Dibsy gets on really, really well with. Like, a good relationship would mean he can make that contact and have ownership over that side of things. So yeah, it's I'm sort of leading it, but it's a group effort. It's not down to the one person.
And how's the phone calls going?
Oh, I had 50 phone calls the other week on one day. So my phone bill, I can't wait to see it.
How do you approach these calls?
I think it's the first thing is just trying to understand the players and their situations, because obviously at Redlands the situation behind the footballs changed a little bit. So just trying to understand what motivates them, what their family situation is, what they do for school or work or whatever it is, and then trying to use that and then understand what their footballing ambitions are. Like for me, if I don't understand their personal life, how can I help them as a footballer? There's going to be all sorts of things that go on the outside that influence it. So it's important that first part, just see how their day's going, simply as that, and ask them what they've been doing, and try and mentally take note of what they do for a living or what they do during the day, and then build from there and talk about their football and where I see them at, and then where they'd like to go as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's just dig into that. There's 11 players, contracted at the club at the moment?
Yeah, so 11 first-team players, and then Dibsy's obviously got a really, really good young 20 squad at the moment that have started quite well. So we'll have a look at the sort of youth players that we can develop and promote there, and then what we can build from the 11 players we've got registered at the moment.
Does this mean that there's a few, like a half a dozen or so, that have left?
Yeah, we've lost probably 4 or 5 of the older boys. Like, there's boys that have obviously come down for COVID and then for football, and then COVID's meant they've lost their jobs, so they've gone home and obviously can't afford the rent, so they're going back to where their families are and they're living with them. Or there's boys that have sort of the financials at Redlands isn't the same as I imagine it is at most clubs. So there's boys
Right.
that obviously have to pay the bills and feed their kids and that side of thing, and make sure that they're covered on that side. So yeah, we've lost a few, but for me, that's disappointing. But that's not the end of the day. We'll have some really, really good boys come back in to help, and then the young boys at the club will get their chance as well. Like, there's some really good talent out at the Redlands region, so we can give as many young Redlands kids a chance, and that puts us in a good spot.
This is going to be one of the real impacts of the coronavirus, isn't it? Just the effects that it's had on players' ability to afford to play.
Yeah, like it's funny how much the virus has sort of made us understand and appreciate the things that we have in our life, and you sort of see, like, even for me, like football, how much has changed, and then what supports you in the long term, and then obviously for the players, they need to make sure that they can afford it. Like the simple one was, if I get injured, how do I pay the bills if I can't work? And for me, that was something that I hadn't initially thought of, but then straight away I thought back to myself and how when I was injured I couldn't go to work at the time, and that's something for me that's really fair. So it's about that management of what you love to do, but also what's best for you and your family and your personal situation, and that's where that sort of conversation at the start comes back in, and understanding where the players are at in terms of their work and their life situations.
So have you set yourself any benchmarks for the season?
Not at the moment. I think it's just, first up, just get in, see what the group's like from a training perspective, because obviously I've watched all the film online and I can see what they're like in that environment, but it's I think training's very, very different, and the way that the players will behave and take actions and coaching points on will be the most interesting point before we go and set any sort of goals or benchmarks like that. Just trying to be the best we can be in the environment and circumstances we're in.
And who's your first game back?
I believe it's going to be Moreton Bay. So it'll be a good test. They've been very, very good. I think Royce has done a really good job, and he's recruited some really, really good players, even across the COVID period. So they're going to be a very strong team, and they're a good bunch of boys as well. I think that group gets on very, very well. So yeah, it'll be an interesting challenge, but something I'm really looking forward to getting going with.
You're both going to be in similar boats. I mean, Royce has taken that development approach to his side as well, with a lot of young guys, and he's going to try and get them to grow together as a group. So
yeah,
should be interesting.
No, I can't wait. It'll be lots of fun.
Fantastic. Well, Jordan, congratulations. It's look, hopefully someone in the comments will be able to confirm or deny, but you've got to be the youngest NPL coach that there's been, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't really look at those records.
Maybe someone at Football Queensland can have a look at that and confirm it. But it feels like the right thing to say.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure. I'm not really fazed by that. Just want to get in and make sure we do a good job and see how the team goes from there.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, well, hopefully you make every post a winner. Congratulations on the appointment, and good luck to Redlands United for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much, and thanks for your time. Appreciate this.
Thanks, Jordan, for the next instalment of the Village Law Initial Consultation.
Anytime.